I bitch a lot about other people and things that bother me on this channel. It's primarily what this channel is. And it makes me feel whiny because objectively I am whining, but I've decided that I'd rather come off as grumpy than to internalize these feelings and get defeated by dealing with them silently. Complaining and comparison has always been a coping strategy for me. I'm not just complaining because I'm hard to please. The act of complaining is me trying to make sense of something. If somebody does something wrong, then I need to understand why it happened and confirm that my interpretation of it as wrong is valid. I don't want to be bothered by things all the time. I don't want to dwell on them. It's not fun. Even if I get some satisfaction in verifying that I am not the one in the wrong, the compulsion to address that in the first place is taxing mentally. Being right about something is only ever a consolation prize. Not being met with those resistances would be the ideal, but life isn't frictionless. Something I've realized recently isn't that this is a mindset that I'm choosing to have. I'm not waking up in the morning and choosing rage, as it were. It's the way that my brain works. Maybe I could be more positive on the outside, but on the inside, dissecting and comparing things is literally how I process the world. It always has been. And although it comes out negative more often than not, there is a purpose to it. I grew up to be this way because it's kept me safe. Not just mentally, in being preemptively shielded from the crushing weight of finding myself lacking in comparison to others, but physically too. I've been in environments throughout stages of my life where being hyper aware was beneficial to my well being. The truth of the matter, and the thing that's lying in the subtext every time I complain about people doing things wrong, that usually technically end up being inconsequential, is that inconsistency makes me feel unsafe. I feel unsafe around other people most of the time. Even if they're good people and they've had a pretty good track record, if they do something that's illogical or out of order, I don't just lose trust, I raise my defenses. And that gets exhausting, especially over such small things sometimes. But I've learned that it's better to be skeptical and aware and preventative than to not. But that stuff adds up. So it's no wonder that such small things do bother me so much. I hate the vulnerability of admitting it, but I'm just actually scared. I'm constantly getting triggered because I feel unsafe, and more instances of things which I cannot trust the consistency of other people for are getting added to a never ending list that's running in my head 24/7 of what I need to avoid or compensate for. A recent example, the other day, when I preheated the oven to make my dinner, I put it up to 420 Fahrenheit for a frozen pizza, and when it dinged that it was ready and I opened the door, there was a glass jar just sitting there, top shelf, tucked against the inner oven wall. Someone else in the house had been jarring things and forgot it in there. And it's a good thing that I looked in the oven before just throwing my pizza in, because someone else might have been more careless, and then what would have happened? Not only could it have just exploded in the oven before I got to that point, because those cheap jars aren't typically supposed to withstand that level of heat, if it had gone unnoticed and gotten knocked over, it would have fallen out of the oven, onto the door, onto the floor, shattering, hot glass everywhere, potentially hitting me with 400 degrees shrapnel. Like, I understand it was a mistake. I understand that nothing bad actually happened because I noticed. And I understand that few other people process the fear of the worst possible situation when confronted with these small sorts of incidents. But I'm not most people. The ultimate fucked up thing about it is that not only am I upset something bad could have happened and it made me feel unsafe, if something had, it still would have felt like my fault. I'm not the one who left the jar in the oven, but I'm the one who turned it on. I'm the one who let my guard down. And now that's one more thing on the never-ending list of things that I am now going to tax myself with every single time I do such a simple task as turning on the oven, is having to check for rogue jars. Eventually, life is nothing but a waking nightmare of constant vigilance, because even if something didn't happen, it almost did, which means it's possible and it could happen again, and I must be prepared. I don't post this content because I want people to agree with me or to grant me absolution for my negativity. I don't think many people can relate. But all of this is honest. It's me being honest. This is my experience, and this is how my brain works. And yes, I complain a lot, but I want to try and help other people understand why. It's not all just negativity for negativity's sake. It's my form of protecting myself. It's what I rely on. I can't face inconsiderations or inconsistencies or illogical actions without that shield up. And I need to reason through it because then, otherwise, I'm just vulnerable and I constantly feel unsafe. Complaining is like a symptom of my hyper awareness, and until it stops serving me, it is a function of my sustained survival.